On this episode, the right people. Hey everybody, this is the Quarter Show. And we were talking about an interesting little thing here, and it's this, is that I was doing some outflow the other day. I kind of get back on my own personal sales game and work with the sales team and things like this, and sometimes it's interesting to sort of dive into the trenches and work on things and experience things that happen, while you're in the trenches. And one of the things is, I was sending out some one-to-one emails, different prospects and prospects from the past and different things like this, and I started getting some bounce back messages. And here's one thing that I find fascinating. Some of the bounce back messages that I got, the ones that were undelivered, right? So you send a message and it's bounced back because the person's no longer there or whatever, and the email change, meaning typically they're not there anymore. The people that it bounced back on were the people that it was a problem, or they were not getting back to you, or it was dragging their feet, or there was like indecision, or there was like, we're looking at doing something, or dragging out, you know what I mean? Like the execution is not happening, the traction is not happening, it's not coming together. And, when you're honest with yourself, you know that you need to bypass, right? You need to go around and get to some other person. And I was just doing this outflow, and it was interesting because I went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a bunch of these ones that bounced. And it was like, oh, there's that deal that guy was just like kind of critical, or it wasn't happening, or it was, whatever, it was dragging his feet, or he wasn't really the person. And the moral of the story was ultimately like these people were no longer there. They left, and I can't tell you how many times I've found that where you deal with the wrong people and then they're not there anymore, they move, and that they weren't the real people that make it happen. They weren't the real people that would get it done, and you really should have gone to those real people who more often than not are still there. Maybe you were dealing with, could have been a marketing director, it could have been some other person, and what happens with some of these people who are wrong people is, for some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason, their track record, their resume, it's often short-lived. And you go to LinkedIn and you see that they're here for a year and a half, and they were here for 2 years, and they were here for a year and a half, and I'm not trying to poo-poo, like, it's okay if you move to some other company or whatever, but I'll tell you, amazingly, a lot of the right players and the key players that make decisions, they have longer runways. And because it wasn't that long ago that we were following up with these people, and now they're no longer there. So sometimes it's a 6-month runway, sometimes it's 8-month, or a year and a half. But the people that are critical to the company, to the survival of the company, and the right people that you should speak to, often they're there, right? Often they're there for a much longer time. And it's an interesting indicator. I can't tell you how many times, whatever this means to you, but I just know I can't tell you how many times this has happened where you reach out to the wrong person, and then 6 months later you reach out after them, and the email bounces. And and for me, what it tells me is I'm like it validates the fact that I know that was the wrong person, and the person that you were supposed to go to is really over here, and you should do a better job to get that person. And so much of sales comes down to, are you investing and spending time with the right people? Are you doing a good job pivoting and getting to the right people, or working your way in to get to the right people when you need to get to them, and hooking yourself into the people who have the authority and have the power to actually execute and pull the trigger? Because those are people who are actually going to make it happen. And when you're with the wrong people, it just takes too long. It drags out. They have more questions than they should. And it doesn't seem to get together. It doesn't really get traction. And 6 months later, you send them an email and it bounces.
Well, and that's the main thing is, and what this video is not necessarily about like, how bad somebody is, so they have to move on to another job or something like that. This video is about indicators.
Not trying to make them wrong.
Indicators of dealing with the wrong person. The cycle is too slippery. You can't get a hold of it. You can't get a decision made.
That's the fundamental I want to point out. It's an indicator.
Right.
It's an indicator of the right or wrong person. And just to underscore what Ben said there, it's not that these are bad people. Like, I'm not saying they're bad people.
It was just interesting to notice. He was showing
a jerk or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's an indicator.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times it's come up. And so if your deal feels sludgy and slow and you're not getting traction, even on a day-to-day basis, like, did you make progress today? Did you make progress the next day? Did you make progress the next day? Or is it the deal in the same stage it was at last week, right? And you're not, is this person, are you getting progress with this person? You know, and if you're not, number one, there's a very good chance they're the wrong person. And number two, there's a very good chance, oddly, statistically, that they won't be there 8 months from now.
Yeah.
And that's not a blanket rule across the board, but it does happen.
Actually, remember that deal this morning that I had, that, you know, I finally reached her after weeks of not, and she'd resigned.
She resigned.
Turns out she'd resigned.
Yeah, and
a week and a half ago, after half a dozen more phone calls, she was sweet enough to call me back. But
it happens in all aspects of business. It happens in all different facets and different people. But you can check it out for yourself. It's interesting to look at. But often those key decision makers, those key people, they're a little bit more seasoned. They're a little bit more stable in their position there, and things like that. And
that's why they can make decisions.
Yeah,
that's why they
have the authority to make a decision. Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, I came across some people the other day, and it was like, they were there for 18 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this person has some level of seniority there, and they don't directly correlate, but it's just a fascinating thing to point out. If you're not getting traction, you're not getting different things. Look for the different indicators. Look for the different indicators and know when to pivot, know when to get around, or know when to even ask your contact, hey, listen, who else we need to bring into the conversation? And do your best to get over to the right person as quickly as you can so you can hook into that person. Or another lesson here is hook into multiple people. What happens if you're following up on a deal and that contact is gone? You send the email and eventually it bounces and now you don't have anything. You're trying to get into ABC company. Yeah. Your contact is no longer there. Now you're gone. Now you got to start from scratch. Do yourself a favor. Go and hook in to not only your contact, but ideally the key decision maker and some other person or a couple people where you have a couple key contacts, a couple people that you're dealing with, a couple people involved in the deal. So if one leaves, you've still got this deal alive. It's still going. You can still move forward, as opposed to just, the one person leaves. You didn't have the right person ever. They're now gone, and now what do you got? You don't have anything. You have to start from scratch with brand new people.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of in our culture and in our sales team, it's kind of a bit of a curse word to say, my contact, blah blah blah. It's like no one cares who your contact is. You're interested in helping that company as the primary thing. You're not there to help Fred or Sally. You're here to help ABC company.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing. So you don't want to rely on a single contact. Another thing you can do to make sure that you stay connected in is to connect on LinkedIn. Connect to every person that seems to be related to or could be related to what you're doing at all, and just link up and get your hooks in.
Yeah. So interesting little observation. Not sure if it's if you ever looked at that or not, but take a look at it, and don't allow your deals to sort of stagnate. Don't allow them to stagnate. If somebody's deeply out of communication with you, they're not really getting back to you, it's not moving, don't allow that condition to go on for too long. You should be antsy, right? People sometimes tell you, oh, be patient. Don't be patient. Don't be patient.
Yeah.
People say that, oh, be patient. Don't be patient. Obviously there's different ways of looking at that, but it's not helpful. It's like you need to be looking at going, am I making progress? Have I made progress today? Have I made progress tomorrow? How can I make more progress? Where can I get the progress? Don't be patient about the actual day-to-day tactical level of your deals. Maybe be patient about your overall long-range goals, but don't be patient about a tactical level of a deal. There's no such thing as being patient there.
Patient is just waiting to die. There's no reason to be patient. Look, in our culture, in Richter's culture, being patient means, all right, this deal right here, it's going to sit right there, and I'm going to go after 20 new ones right now, and I'm going to take action. I'm going to take action. This is me being patient. You're on the bench, and I'm going to go after other things. What, you think that's not right? That's what I do. If I don't feel like I have any effective plays left.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? Like if I've made all the plays I'm going to play, and I've hammered into this thing with all the plays I got.
Yeah.
Well, I got to go make some other plays. I still want it. I'm still going to get it.
Yeah, moral of the story. Don't be patient. Try not to be patient. Try and make progress every single day.
Yeah.
Right. Try and make some level of progress every single day. That's not an insane request. Like to make progress every single day on a deal, that's not ludicrous to say that. And if you're not making progress, something is somewhat awry. And you have to look at that and go, why am I not making progress? Why is this stagnating? Why is this in the same position it was yesterday? You know, look at that, debug it, and move it forward. Okay? Hope you like that. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Share it with your sales team, please. Subscribe there or there. Not sure where it is. And we'll have more coming at you soon. Okay? Thanks.